Excellent. All right. So welcome everyone. This is our third official Campfire chat. The first one, actually, there's 3.5. Lori and I did one at the International Rally, Maine, and we didn't know what to expect. We told people that, and we've held true to this in every subsequent one, that we will answer any and every question unless we just don't know the answer. Some of you may not realize this, but I think we get back to almost everyone on the chats. And some people are also surprised that on the comments back to headquarters or comments back to me, I reply almost to everyone. So it's really important to us to get your feedback, and there may be a lot of comments today. So before Laverne leaves, I know you all see Laverne in the picture. This is Laverne McHenry. Not only is she the Region 12 president, which is California and Nevada, we've been married for, we practiced this early, for 41 years. And I know pretty much every picture you see of me, you see of her. And I think any of you who have a spouse in the club, it's just, it's just wonderful to have. So, all right, thanks, Laverne. Okay. She's going to go jump on the camera.
Go to my own.
All right, so some of the things we're going to talk about. First, obviously, we have a special guest tonight. I'm just so excited. Justin's going to talk in a few minutes for about 20 minutes. I told him that we wouldn't pin him down for the full hour. So I'll introduce him in a second. I want to talk a little bit today about our club structure. Very, very little, because people get asked, I get asked the question all the time, how do you organize? Who's the IBT? What is that? Who's the executive committee? What is the strategy meeting? So we'll talk a little bit about that. I think it's important also to talk about the fact that Airstream Inc., the factory, the manufacturer of our wonderful trailers and motorhomes, they're a completely separate entity from our club, Airstream Club International. So I know we got some questions that came in. They're actually Airstream Inc. questions, and Justin may not get to them today, but we get them all back to Airstream and they reply back on a regular basis. So thank you. We'll talk a little bit about a new benefit program. I think, Laura, you can introduce that when we get down to that. It just went live on our benefit portal. We're going to have a caravan, one of these soon. John Becker, our International Caravans Chair, offered to give a talk. One of the things that we see regularly on the feedback from members is interest in caravans, short caravans, long caravans, regional caravans, and John's going to come in with a couple of his caravan leads and talk about that. We've also got some upcoming membership webinars by Lori and her staff that talk about, how do we do basic things like renewal, joins, change your name, things like that. Okay, so I think without ado, let me get Justin on here. So by the way, Justin presents to the International Board of Trustees once or twice a year. He presented to the International Board of Trustees a couple of weeks ago. He also, some of you may have seen him at the international rallies. And so, but I thought, what a wonderful opportunity to bring him on, and he was glad to do it. So Justin, let me hand it over to you for about 15 or 20 minutes, and then we'll swing back to Laura and myself. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Eric, and thanks for having me and allowing me to crash the party here. This is exciting. So I did go through the list of names. There's so many people I recognize, so it's great to see so many people on this. And I want to compliment Eric and the team for putting these together. I think this is a great way to connect, and certainly these Zoom calls have become quite the thing since COVID began. And now I can't imagine what we did without them. Here at Airstream, sometimes we're even in our office and we do these Zoom calls just because we can review charts so easily, and everybody can interact. So yeah, Justin Humphreys, VP of Sales. My responsibilities are both sides of the business. We have a motorhome sales division, we have a travel trailer division, and then we have service and parts and international sales. And that's kind of my realm of the area of responsibility. And this May will be 12 years since I've been at Airstream, which is amazing. It's crazy. I remember going to the first rally in Sedalia and camping with everybody, and my kids were tiny. I mean, they were in middle school, and now we're now empty nesters. They all three live in Southern California, believe it or not, but they're all off the payroll and they're through college. So that's they would look a lot different to many of you who saw them back then. But a couple things with I mentioned on the IBT, and I feel like it's worth mentioning again here this evening. Airstream has experienced significant growth even prior to COVID happening. With all the RV craziness, we were experiencing growth, which is why we built this factory that I'm standing in right now. And, you know, it's kind of this, especially in the 12 years I've been here, to kind of watch it go from this small company to this rather large company. And there's been a lot of, you know, changes along the way that we've had to make. And most recently, we changed our executive team. And I mentioned it, for those of you that are on the IBT, you'll hear this twice, but I think it's worth mentioning again that, you know, our executive structure, we have Bob, our president and CEO. I'm VP of sales, which manages all the service. We have our CMO, Molly Hansen, who does all of our marketing. We have a CFO, a VP of finance, does all our finance, and we have an HR VP. But these other three VPs included engineering, manufacturing, and supply chain. And so those VPs had responsibilities across the entire campus for their discipline. And as you know, we were able to do that years ago. We kind of haven't really changed our executive structure too much since I got here. But one of the challenges that we had is, you know, this is a major operation here in travel trailers. It really needs to take somebody to really look at how all three of those departments interact from an internal basis. So we actually eliminated 3 VP roles, VP of supply chain, engineering, and manufacturing. Those roles went away. By the way, nobody left the company. Nobody was exited. Our VP of engineering did get promoted within the Thor family. They're McKay Featherstone, who went to a few rallies and has been at Alumapalooza. Many of you have seen McKay. He got promoted to Thor for the senior VP of innovation for Thor, which was a real feather in Airstream's cap to have one of our own get promoted. So with that VP having exited and been promoted, it gave us an opportunity to relook at it. So those 3 VP positions went away. And instead, we now have a VP of travel trailers. We have a VP of touring coaches. And both of those VPs have responsibility for supply chain, engineering, and manufacturing. So you kind of have that person in charge at that facility to ensure all those pieces are working well together. And it's critical. You got to have the part on time. Production can't build it. It's got to be designed right, or production can't build it. And so there's a lot of things that are very important on those interactions. And that happened just in November. So this has been relatively recent. And I gotta say, we've had some really good wins here recently with that group acting in that manner. So those 2 VPs are, so the touring coach for the motorized group, our VP of supply chain took that role. A guy named Chris Rarig came outside the industry from Siemens, Anderson Windows, you know, black belt trained, really incredible leader. And then our leader on travel trailers is a guy named Marion Slater. Some of you might know Marion because he's camped out at Alumapalooza, gone to some rallies. He's been here 15 years now. He's been director of manufacturing, director of ME, manufacturing engineering, and he's also been director of engineering for 2 years. So he's really well-rounded within the business, has a lot of tribal knowledge. So he's leading the travel trailer group. The third VP position is VP of quality and continuous improvement. And that also includes our lean department. We do have a lean department, but lean quality, we should have one standard of quality. We didn't want 2 divisions with 2 different standards of quality, or, you know, 2 different groups of manufacturing, engineering, and maintenance. We really wanted a broader view on that. And quite frankly, Bob Wheeler wants quality reporting directly to him and have that separate for those checks and balances. So it's really allowed that VP to dive deep into continuous improvement. And that's something that we've been committed to now for 20 years. We do have a continuous improvement department with lean events and everything else that Kaizen events that improve the process. But this is just giving more resources to that group. So we're still we're 5 months in on our 5th month. So we're kind of still getting our legs under us with the new leadership, but they've all been here. They've just got new assignments. And I'm really thrilled with kind of how it's all unfolding, and that attention at the business unit level has been very, very helpful. So that's a big change. I saw some emails that Lori had sent some questions on the market. You know, Thor Industries, our parent company, had an earnings release. I think it was this morning. So from an industry perspective, take Airstream out. If you just look at the RV business, there has been a slowdown, particularly last year. However, I think it's a little self-inflicted, and let me explain that. So 2021 the retail sales were just out of this world. I mean, out of this universe with the COVID thing that happened, and this was a safe way to travel. I mean, everybody was buying RVs in record numbers. But what happened is manufacturers going into 2022 set their production rates at those same rates. Well, 2022 came down a little bit. Now, if you look at 2022 total new registrations as an industry, it's ranks in like the top 5 in the history of the RV business. It was a very solid year from a retail perspective, down from 2021, but still historically very high. The problem was they kept building at the 2021 numbers. So dealer inventories got too full, and then many factories shut down from December through January just to try to reduce the amount of product they were putting out to the dealers. So there was a lot of downtime in the wholesale side. So of course, Thor is reporting, and others are reporting wholesale activity. They're reporting what they're shipping, and then there's another measurement that measures what dealers are retailing. And so the wholesale picture was impacted a lot more than the retail, even though the retail was down from the prior year. So in my opinion, it was manufacturers not managing their business very well. As you see retail slow down, inventories go up, you have to adjust your rates and make small adjustments along the way. That's what Airstream's been doing. We haven't taken any downtime other than a snow day, or it wasn't really a snow day, was it, Lori? It was just a cold day in December.
It was just a bad day.
It was a bad day here in Ohio.
We all took the day off.
Minus 20 degrees one day. So we took that day off. And then we did have a snow day that didn't amount to much in January. But outside of just normal weather events, in our normal shutdown over the holidays, which is over the Christmas break, we take that down. But we do that every year. So we haven't taken any additional time down. But we have modified some rates, hey, let's reduce this line and we'll increase range line over here. And we're moving things behind the scenes, but we're really watching our dealer inventories. And what we do to manage it is we have an optimal dealer inventory that we talk to our dealers. Hey, how many do you want in stock? And then we watch it. How close are we getting to that? What's the retail rate? What adjustments do we need to make? So, we've certainly seen retail go down over like the 2021 numbers, but it's still a really healthy number for us, and we're very comfortable with the level of business. We're cautiously optimistic, because interest rates are going up. The rest of the industry has been has been struggling a little bit, so we certainly keep our eye on it. But we see business doing very, very well. So we're a little bit different than the average bear for the RV space. Now, I would say it's disproportionate. White boxes, fifth wheels got hit the hardest. Motorhomes they haven't been hit as much because they've had some chassis supply issues and some backlogs they're working through. Although it's down as much as travel trailers and fifth wheels. So shows have been solid. In fact, Tampa, I think, was the second largest show in terms of attendance in the history of the Tampa RV show. It's a huge bellwether. It's a manufacturing show, and meaning the manufacturers buy the space and they have their dealers come in and work it. And for us, I think it was our third largest retail event at Tampa. So we were really excited about that. And I think that those numbers are kind of supporting the rest of the year so far. So in fact, February, year over year, we were on the retail side. It was really close to what we had sold last year. And so we're really excited about that. But again, there's some noise out there. We're keeping our ear to the ground. We're watching our dealers' inventory, but right now things have been going pretty well. So we're excited about that. And we're really excited about the rallies and events and watching attendance and signups. And I don't think we have a problem there. So people are using their RVs, and our service center, they keep showing up. So that's the other thing we watch, as the economy tightens, is it changing consumer behaviors, and we're not seeing that at all. In fact, if anything, we're seeing more people hitting the road than ever before. And then one other thing I wanted to talk about, we announced it at our dealer meeting last year, and I talked a little bit about it in Maine, but we have a 5-rivet program. It's a dealer standards program, and it's pretty cool because they have a certain set of standards they have to meet. And once they meet those standards, the way they get the recognition is you, the customers. So there's 2 ways we survey our customers. One is after the sale. How did that go? How was the delivery? And then the other is after a warranty visit. So we haven't done it on, we haven't found a way to be able to do that on non-warranty work. So that is one area that is not on the program, but it's under warranty, they have to submit for payment. So we know the work was done, and then we can reach out to you and ask how was that? And then we track it. We have a whole dashboard. And so the dealers have to score a certain score, and it's a way to really track and have a conversation with a dealer. We're about 4 years into this program. Well, so I've talked about that Five River program before, but largely up to this point, if you hit Five River, it's kind of all carrot and no stick. Might be a bad way to explain it, but it's more incentive, and there's really no punitive piece to it if you don't hit Five River. Well, now we made an announcement at our dealer meeting. It's, we're going to start getting a little bit more punitive. And what we're saying is to be a Five River dealer, they need to give us a plan that they're going to increase their service capacity to meet the amount of Airstreams registered in their market area. What we found is that third-party agency that measures market share in this industry. So they're working with DMVs, and they can tell you how many Airstreams are registered in each state. They also measure how many Airstreams are being registered every year, not just new ones, but if you renew your registration, it would acknowledge the fact that, hey, there's an Airstream in that county. So it's called RVIO, RVs in operation. I never knew this number existed. We were kind of asking this group what they had available. But what that means is we can go into a territory, we can tell a dealer, here's how many Airstreams are renewing their registrations every year. And our thinking is if someone's renewing their registration on the Airstream, they're using their Airstream. And if they're using their Airstream, they need service and parts. So we're using that number to drive how many service bays they need, how many technicians they need, what their capacity needs are. And then we're going to need a business plan back on how to get that done. So we're working with our dealer council to make sure that business plan template's out there. But if they just tell us, no, we're not going to give you a plan at all, then you're not going to qualify for anything, and we're going to start pulling programs, kind of thing. So it's going to become a little more punitive. It was we had some really interesting conversations when we announced that at the dealer meeting, and some of them came and expressed their concerns. And, they reminded us, hey, you need to reduce the amount of service work. Let's make better quality products. I think that's a great point. Or you need to get our suppliers on the horn because they need to ship us parts faster, or you need to have parts more readily available. And we recognize that it's just not the dealer's responsibility here, but they have a big responsibility. We also need to help them with faster delivery of parts and more training and all kinds of stuff. So it was a big deal. And we've measured this thing about 5 times, and we hopefully to cut it once. We're going to deliver this here over the next month or two. We were hoping to deliver it sooner, but the dealers actually had some really good points, and there were some valid concerns on how the RVIO stats were coming in. So we've really dialed that in. I'm really excited about it. I know our customers will really appreciate the added service capacity, but that's really what we're after. We want not only service capacity, we want quality of service to go up. And we feel like Airstream's in this unique position versus the rest of the RV industry, where we can really start to asking our dealers to step up. And quite frankly, we've now got 28 stores that sell nothing but Airstreams. So that in itself, it doesn't solve the problem, but it organically gets better because that's all they do every day, as opposed to trying to sell and service a multitude of manufacturers. That's all they do. So I say that because I think I know we have the biggest commitment from dealers in the industry. Now we just need to really leverage that and continue to take it to the next step. So it's really important to us. And I think it is absolutely the most important thing any manufacturer should be focusing on right now. Customer expectations are high. A lot of times customers compare us with cars, which are largely built by robots. So they really want to make sure their experience is a good one. And so we got some big changes here. So those are a few that I wanted to highlight. And
a couple of questions I wanted to just toss you before we lose you that are kind of strategic. One of the ones I saw a couple on here from the members is the shift to electric. Propane coming out. Where is that heading for us, for Airstream, for you? And the second one was around new products, range line, and also the E-Stream. Can you just touch on those two things, please?
Sure. So the E-Stream's a little ahead of its time, having a driving trailer behind a car. It's actually before there's a lot of compliance really developed for it. So there's no plans to bring that to market yet, but we're not saying never, because we want to understand how that fits into the the lineup, and especially as cars get more electric and extending range. However, there are pieces of off the grid capabilities that kind of opened our eyes with that eStream and with the lithium products that you're going to see continued advancement there for just kind of standard battery packs. So more to come there. And tomorrow there's going to be a press release with another concept vehicle. So I'll tease that a little bit. We teased it on our Facebook page. You can go see an outline of the product, but a very iconic, timeless design from the automotive industry brand that we're partnering with that we're really excited about. And it's this idea that we can develop concepts now in renderings. This is not a real product. You won't see a working product, but it's going to look like it tomorrow when you see the images. So we're actually working with some really powerhouses in automotive to design, hey, what maybe the Airstream of the future looks like. In terms of new products, the range line, we've built, I don't know, maybe 130 so far of the range lines. It's a slow ramp up. Largely our biggest issue has been with any ramp up is just supply chain. Starting a new product in the middle of a supply chain challenge has been difficult. And probably the biggest challenge of that was the most important part. The Ram ProMaster vans were slow to get in. So that's really been gaining some speed, and we really wanted to take it slow, build them right. So far so good. The shows it's been a home run on the range line. And I'd say that what people like most about the range line too is it puts us in a different price category, but it's just a total different segment for us. And it's a front wheel drive, so you don't have to deal with the drive axle as an upfitter. That's a big deal. And also the stance is a little bit lower, which people like. And then, the relationship between us and the club, I saw another question there. I got to tell you, I don't think it's ever been, it's certainly not been stronger since I've been here. And I think that's a lot of good work of the many presidents we've had over the past 10 years. Eric is continuing that. Lori and I've got a great relationship here with headquarters. We really take this relationship really seriously. I'm on the IBT. We have marketing very involved. So I'd say our relationship has been just outstanding. We love it, and it's a critical relationship for us.
Okay, I want to be respectful of your time, Justin. Is there anything else you want to close with, or question that you see that you'd like to address in the chats? I think the moving away from propane was one, I think, and sort of the whole lithium batteries and propane, electric, everything in the trailers.
Yeah, so in fact, Rangeline was introduced with no propane. We did a combination of lithium and diesel fed appliances. On the trailers, the real difficult part is that heater and the furnace and water heater. It just takes so much battery power to do it. But on the vehicles, on the interstate and Rangeline, we have a fuel tank that we can pull off of. So on the E1 package on the interstate and now Rangeline standard, you put fuel in it and you go. You don't have any LP that you have to worry about. So we see that too, Eric. And the challenge is going to be on the trailers is those two appliances. We can pretty much solve the rest, but those things are big drains on them. So I see somebody talking about staying at the campground here. Yeah, give them a call. We've got spots here. You should be able to stop in. Our service has been busy as well, obviously with the growth, but if you call a service center, they should be able to make you a reservation, and you can go online and sign up for the factory tour, which make sure you do that while you're in town. We'd love to show you around.
And the Heritage. Go see Heritage.
Oh yeah, the Heritage Center, the museum that we have. It's a real treat. The marketing team did just an absolutely outstanding job there. So.
Thank you very much, Justin. I really appreciate your time. For the members that have additional comments or comments we didn't answer, we have the capability of recording the comments, the questions and answers, and we'll look at them later. Any that need to go to Airstream, we'll get over to Justin and his team. So again, Justin, you're welcome to stay or go, whatever you want. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, everybody. You guys have a great night, and thanks for the invite.
Thank you.
Thanks, Justin.
Bye-bye.
Okay, the next part of ours is kind of the normal campfire chat. I think everyone must know Lori Plummer. I just have to assume that. But Lori Plummer has been phenomenal. A lot of the things that we hear you all have been driven by her and her team. So she's a wonderful person to work with. She's often the first person in the day I talk to because I wake up and Laverne's asleep and I'm on the East Coast time zone talking to Lori and her team. Christy Yanyan is also helping us in the background. She's the marketing and communications manager. And at that point, Lori, can you just give just a very brief overview of where your office is, who's there, your proximity to Airstream. A lot of people don't know that in your business hours too.
Yeah, so thanks, Eric. As you said, I'm Lori Plummer. For those who don't know me, I've been with the club since 2014. And it's been a great ride so far. And it's just been so exciting the last couple of years of all the changes and everything we're doing. So we are located, I would say, on the east side of Jackson Center. I know y'all may not think there's an east side, but there is. We're just east of a couple miles east of the old factory, maybe 3 miles east of the new factory. So whenever you're in town, you're more than welcome to come down to the office. We are there Monday through Friday, 8 to 4, 4:30 some days, except the power goes out like it did Friday. But the team is always there to serve you. So along with myself, as Eric mentioned, Christy's here. She's in the background helping us maintain. Plus, we also have Barb Langston at the office, which a lot of you that do caravans, talk to Barb. We also have Amanda, which is our membership coordinator, and Amber is also in membership services. And then our newest team member is Corey Maxwell, which he started with us in October, and he replaced Deb Saylor as the editor of the Blue Array. So the young man is fitting in. We haven't scared him off. Coming into an office full of women, we can chuckle about that. And actually, I can say today is Amber's 1-year anniversary with us. So we recognize that today. So that is the team there at headquarters. And of course, if you can't get us on the phone, you can always email us and we'll get back to you just as quickly as we can. I think did I cover everybody?
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's who's there.
And the other questions that I get a lot, and it's probably best that you answer these, is sort of our international rallies. Now, mind you, we have about 18 or 19,000 members, and we typically get 2,000 to 2,500 members coming to international rallies. So it is a small subset, but it is our signature event. Laura, perhaps you can talk about just briefly where we are in 2023, 2024, 2025. I think we're about ready to announce that location, and then I'll just stop there.
Well, I laugh because of 2023. So I think most we're sold out of our power sites. We're going to Rock Springs, Wyoming, and as organizers, this facility is just amazing. The team, the city, Rock Springs is just falling all over themselves to get us there. So we have over 1,200 power sites sold. We have almost 100 boondockers. And I really feel if we had the space out there, we'd have more. So excited for that. And then, I'm sorry, we organize, we got 3 rallies in the works, right? Behind the scenes. So we kind of get confused of where we're going when. So 2023, Rock Springs. 2024, we're going to be in Sedalia, Missouri, which that'll be an October 5th start of that rally. And then in 2025, you guys are the first to know because we haven't done our press release yet, but we are going to be in York, Pennsylvania, and that rally will start on August 23rd. Don't hold me to that, but I'm almost positive that's the right start date. So we love doing the rally. And again, I really think if we found that magical place where we could have 3,000 to 4,000 trailers, we probably could make that happen if we could find a location to do that.
Great, thank you. You guys are quiet on questions tonight. It's interesting, but type any
Because
questions.
Justin was here. They don't want to talk to us. They wanted to talk to Justin. Come on.
Perhaps that's the case. The other thing I'll just share this one. We're also really happy to launch a new club discount program. We probably have around 8 or so now, from like Michelin Tire, Harvest Hose, Passport America, Garage, you name it. But we're just announcing one with Goodyear. Goodyear tires. And so that's on the website now in the membership area. It's a 15% discount to all club members. You order off of Goodyear.com. What I find really intriguing about it also is that if they offer it in your area, there's ability to have remote installation. In other words, someone comes out to your vehicle, your trailer, or your Airstream, and will install the tires for you. That's huge for any of you who've tried to tow your trailer or drive your motorhome into a service bay. It can be challenging. So again, in certain areas, they have that available. So that's really, really exciting. And we should be adding some more as well, more benefit programs. We're trying to find out the ones that people are interested really a lot in the club. Let me go back. I see Sean has a question about volunteering for the IR. Before you answer, Lori, actually, as you answered, it was amazing to me when I realized how many volunteers are actually required at an international rally. How many would you guess that we're going to need in Wyoming? And how could
So,
Sean volunteer?
I was going to say thank you, Sean, for asking that question, and I'll direct y'all to, if you go to airstreamclub.org/rally 2023 is our webpage, and you will see the volunteer area there, what we're looking for. So the core, what I call the core planning team or committee, is made up of a couple staff members as well as members that have been around for some time, which is Larry Owens. I think most of you guys know Larry. He's our parking guru. And then we have Debbie Wood, that's been part of the rallies forever and has volunteered in almost every spot, along with myself, Christy. Eric helps out. And so besides us, so then we have another team of committees, right? And we're probably, I think my last count was 66 committees, maybe 66, 67 committees. And then within those committees, depending upon how many they are, could be just 2 or 3 people, or as it goes up to, like when we're doing parking, we have over 30 people on that committee. And if you've never been to one of our IRs, those guys and gals work. I mean, it is not easy. They work all day, even in, like when we were in Freiburg, right? It was blazing hot. God love them all. They're out there working very hard. So yeah, Eric, I would say we're probably in the close to 200 boots on the ground, right? A couple 100 people definitely are part of the process to pulling everything together at the rally.
Great, thank you. And so as Lori said, go on to our rally website, and I don't think we put the link up yet for volunteers other than the shuttle service, but it will be up shortly if not. Okay, before we go off rally, I see a question from Ron and Joyce about presenters. And by the way, before we answer, so one of the things that we hear over and over again about why people want to go to national rallies, I'm going to sum it up by they want to experience all things Airstream, right? So they want to understand sometimes how to tow, how to outfit their trailers, how to service their trailers, things like Starlink, things like, you know, these new electric convection ovens, and just all the things about our trailers. And so Lori's team has made a concerted effort this year to bring in more presenters as well as more vendors as well. You know, we like to spend time and spend energy and money on the things that in our trailers. And so we have a pretty good slate of presenters and vendors. And Laura, maybe you can talk about sort of the process for new presenters.
Yeah, so Christy actually runs this at the office, and the application has been out, and I believe our timeline is April 7th to start going back and back to those who put applications in to be presenters. And of course, we have to go through the whole scenario of room placement and what rooms available at what time slots and things of that nature. And also, as you mentioned, Eric, we need to give a big shout out to Rich Collins and the Pauls that are working on our exhibitors that are coming in this year to Rock Springs. It's just amazing how many folks they have coming in this year, and different folks and things of that nature.
Okay, thanks. I'm going to
Sure.
shift a little bit back to a higher level. I wanted to talk a little bit about our membership survey. Again, you'll see in my president's column, I touched on the survey. This is the one that went out probably 3 months ago. It went out to all of our members, good participation on it. We'll be sharing more information about the details, including the comments with members. It's actually quite interesting. It's interesting not just for general members to read, but also for local clubs and their officers to read. And this kind of goes to the question that John was asking a little bit about, sort of what are people looking for in their events? And I touched on it in my president's column, but what's interesting is that I expected a fairly wide difference in activities given age demographics. That was not the case. People seem to want a rally, an event to go to that's a mix of relaxing. And by the way, if you're working, 40, 60 hours a week, you're kind of more inclined to relax at a rally. I think we often think that the younger demographics want to go out and climb mountains every day, but there's certainly an aspect of relaxation across all of our demographics. So socializing, relaxing, learning about Airstreams, those things that people are looking for. We are having, okay, so let me pause there for a second. So what are we going to do with this information? And one of the things I'm really excited about, and Justin mentioned, is that for the first time, I'm not sure ever, if ever, our International Board of Trustees, which is the governance and leadership group of the club, it has 12, or one representative from each region, so one region president, plus executive council elected members. We're getting together in Jackson Center for a 3-day strategy meeting. And if any of you have been through a business strategy meeting, what's really important in those meetings, and we've never really done this before, is sitting down for a couple of days, looking at our demographics, looking at our feedback from our members, looking at trends in the industry, looking at our budget, trying to understand if we have any long-term sustainability issues. For example, we know we've had record growth in the club, and we have to be mindful of the fact that at some point that may taper off a bit, sort of a post-pandemic tapering off. We don't want to be like Justin talked about the RV industry, where we've built up a cost structure, an expense structure that's inconsistent with growth. So we're talking about all those things. But I think one of the things that comes across really, really strong already is we need more events. We need more opportunities for our members to go to fun events. I think the data showed that most of our members go to kind of an average, 5 to 10 events per year. It's kind of a mix in there. And if you look at the number of events that our club offers, which is about 500 a year, and you look at the number of Airstreams, the math doesn't work out. And invariably, we're finding, just like national parks and other places, that our members aren't able to get in. So we've launched a program where we reinforced the program, national event rallies. Kate Coast is the chair for that, to try to build out some cool rallies working with the local clubs and regions. One of the things we're going to try to do a push on is have something really fun for the solar eclipse in 2024. So any ideas that you have about events, let your local president or your region president know, let me know, let Lori know. As I said in my president's column, the real limiting factor is volunteers. If you've been in a rally, we understand that it's hard to put on a rally, and the number of rallies that we have are often limited by the resources of the local club. So if you want to help out at all, help co-host, share it. As I think John was saying, is that the rallies don't have to be the classic ones that when I joined the club, Laverne and I joined the club 15 years ago, where we'd have a full breakfast and a full lunch and a dinner 3 days. They can be a lot more informal. So keep your eyes open for how to help out with that. The relationship between Airstream Inc. and our club, it came up a couple of times. We're really trying to grow that. We think it's important, not just strategically, but it helps us get more opportunities to access the resources of Airstream, and Airstream benefits because, what they find is that the part of the number one thing that their owners look for are really fun ways to enjoy their trailers. And fortunately, we're perceived as a club that's really enjoyable to use their Airstreams at. And so we work with them to try to develop more opportunities. You'll probably see some more coming shortly about how ones that are partnered with Airstream. We did one last year on opening of the Heritage Center. Okay, so questions. Let's see. I'm not sure I understand some of the questions. Let me hand it to you, Lori. Do you have anything you want to add on the topic while I try to understand these questions and see if I can answer these better?
Well, the one question I was going to answer Marty Moody. Actually, if you just want to send me an email, I can forward it over to Airstream Inc. I believe I can't think of their support email right off the top of my head. So if you would just send it to me, I'll be happy to get that sent over to the team there.
John, if you can expand on your question, because I don't understand it, that would be good. We'll try to answer it a little bit later.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay.
So, David, that is a great question. Any advice for those that are just joining? The best way to describe it is get to that event, and there will
Can
be.
you restate David's question in case people didn't see it?
David's question was that they're newbies to the club and they're planning on getting out, and if there's any advice for those of us just getting started. So absolutely. And your fellow club members will be great resources for you, because one of the things I learned early on being involved in the club is if it's happened, it's happened. If whatever's happening to you has happened to somebody else in the club, or somebody knows how to help you, or things of that nature. So you can do that. You can also look on our website. We have a section in our new members section of the website that talks about getting started. And there's some tips and tricks there, and gives you some ideas of what you can do there to get things rolling. And
Thanks,
Eric's more experienced in that. So what's your 2 cents?
Well, Mark Kerr just typed it in, and we actually just had this question out here in California where I live. You know, I know that for when a new member joins a club, for some new members, the thought is, well, I should only go to my club rallies. That is absolutely not the case. One of the reasons why we've mandated that all of our events and rallies will be on a central website is so that our members can go to other club rallies. It doesn't have to be in your area. Again, we're more or less veterans in the club, Laverne and myself, but when we travel, we will look at the website and we'll say, hey, what's happening, in the month of March along the route we're taking on Highway 80 heading east. And if it fits our timeline, we'll contact the rally host and pop in. So definitely do that. Look on the website, not just your clubs, but look on the Airstream Club International /events, and it will show a map. And what's really interesting about it is that it's pretty easy to navigate. You can navigate geographically of saying, hey, I want to find all the events in Nevada in the month of June. And it'll list you just those. And there's a contact person for everyone. It's mandated that there be a contact person for every event on there, and just contact them. You'd be surprised, the ones, and you're welcome to join. Our experience has been consistently that when we've showed up at an event, we may know one person or 2 people, but after an hour, we're like hugging each other because everyone is just really, really nice. And in fact, some of those events have been some of the most exciting to us because we've learned new things about our members, and we've always felt welcome no matter where we go. The thing I want to talk about, kind of related to that, but not, is our courtesy parking program. It's something also that I really encourage people to take advantage of. This is for members only. Again, if you go to our club website, it's under courtesy parking. It shows the list of members who have offered their homes for overnight parking. It's similar to Harvest Host or Boondockers Welcome, but it's our members only. And so similar thing is driven by a map. You click on a map and you find someone and you contact them. Mind you, they're not a hotel, so they may be traveling in Europe, so they may not answer right away. So that's just the nature of a personal residence. But if they do, invariably, I found people have said, sure, come on by. There may be a limitation on your trailer side, but it's a really nice way when you're traveling, particularly on some of these congested areas where it's just really hard to find an RV spot. And the cool thing is that, in as much as that there's no expectation of the host to treat you or wait on you. Every place I've been to, they've just been the nicest people and just said, hey, come drinks or join us or sit out back and we'll tell you some stories, take you around the property. So I really encourage the courtesy parking, and it's free also. But the nice thing is it's a way to get around the country and meet people and develop those connections. Yeah, I see Mark Mark Kruer is mentioning courtesy parking. Mark asked, Mark Kruer, he's one of our many friends. I don't even know where you live, Mark. I don't, anyway, he was the founder of Grapes and Grains, which is an intra club. So again, if you're part of a local club or you're a member at large, fine. You can also go to intra clubs. Vintage has a strong set of events, the Vintage Airstream Club. Grapes and Grains is if not our largest intra club right now. They're certainly our fastest growing. They're actually having an event out here in Sonoma County. It's not part of a local club. It's based on interest. And so we have them around solo towing, around kids. We have a nice event going on in Maine where Misty Roach and the Future Streamers are having a nice event in the corner at in Rock Springs, oriented toward kids. So those are other options. Again, they're all on the website, so don't feel like you have to look at your own club. Just pop into, notify the host first and pop into any of them.
Yeah, so Eric, there's a lot of good, I love our members are jumping in and making comments in the questions. I love it. Kat is making a note that for those new folks, you can also become affiliates of other clubs. So without getting too far in the weeds, your home club is your home club. That's where you can serve an office and you can also vote and whatnot, but you can also become affiliates of other clubs, which just basically keeps you in that tighter loop of communication. So you know what's going on. Eric, you're part of what, 18?
We're a lot of affiliates.
A lot of affiliates, but it helps you know what's going on, right?
Yeah.
But again, it's a great way. And also I want to say to our newer folks out there, rallies, local clubs vary drastically. So you will find your fit, you will find your people. So don't be shy, get out there and visit other clubs and see what's there for you. I mean, I get so excited when I hear stories about people showing up at a rally and then they're calling the office and they want to transfer from here to there, or they're a member at large and they want to get into to a local club. I think it's just awesome.
The other one are Airstream parks. Again, Airstream parks are not, they're not part of our club, but they're facilities run by a third party, usually people in our club, frankly, that either live there or stay there. And we have around 8 of them or so around the US. We're trying to do a better job of getting them more visible on our website. But they're really cool. They are places where they're almost always Airstream only. There's almost always a place available there. Almost always. They have some short-term stay places. And so as we travel, like we've been to the Airstream Park up in Washington State, really cool. It's in a gorgeous area right north of just north of the Oregon border. We love Pinwood Airstream Park in Pennsylvania. We spent many times there, have a lot of friends there in Pennsylvania because of that gorgeous place. Minnesota Airstream Park, lovely. I'm going to forget someone, right? Texas Airstream Harbor, North Texas Airstream Club.
Virginia Highlands.
Virginia Highlands Haven. Yeah, Virginia Highlands. Yes.
Cumberland. It's
Texas
almost my bedtime, y'all. I normally not up
so
this late.
That's another resource.
Minnesota.
Yes. That's another resource that I would encourage people to check out. Again, we're trying to do a better job getting them linked under our page. So they're not part of our club, but probably 90% of the people there are Airstream club members. But it's really a great thing. And the prices are often way below market, at least at this point.
So I see a question here from John asking about if there are legal or insurance or other organizational requirements and what elements needs to be for a rally. So the quick answer to that, John, is that some entity within our organization has to host the get together, whether it be a local club, an inter-club, a region, or international. Somebody does. And once that happens, our insurance will cover the event, providing it is, I'm going to say, publicly announced, whether it's your newsletter, it's on a website, your Facebook group. And the key is that everybody has to be invited. Now, we understand there's limitations to space and stuff of that nature, but as long as it's publicly within our club announced, then and you have that host, then it will be covered. So that's the short version of that. If you have any more questions, email the office at info@, and Barb will get back with you on that. She manages that stuff.
Oh, we forgot to say top of Georgia. Airstream
See?
Park. And I apologize. So we will put it on our website. I need to understand why it isn't there now. They're separate organizations from us in as much as any other RV park, but they're special. And so we're trying to find a way to just work with them to get their agreement to put their names and their places on our map. I think it would greatly benefit our members. And I find from talking to about half of them, their boards already as we travel, that they're very interested in doing that. They love it, by the way. You imagine if you're staying at Airstream Park and you have some random person come through, it's just always kind of fun to meet new people come through. I want to answer a question that Lori asked about the difference between a member at large and a member who selects a club. Thanks, Lori. Lori Grassley. This is a really good question. So we have 102 or 103 local clubs across generally North America. Sometimes a member may not live near a local club, or local club that's near them may not do the types of activities or events they would like to do, because it's always a bit of a fit thing. And so there's an ability to just be a member at large. It means you're a part of the club. I think we have like 800 or so, or 900 members at large out of our, is that members or air memberships? I think we have 900 memberships out of about 8,000 or 9,000 memberships. So maybe 10% of our members are members at large. You have every right that every member of a local club has. You can go to local club rallies, you can go to international rallies or regional rallies. It's just typically because there isn't one near to you that fits what you want to do. It's totally fine. And by the way, on that note, there's something else that we learned from the survey that I forgot to talk about. We heard over and over again, and this is often from people whose membership has lapsed. Said differently, they joined the club and after a year or two, they just didn't renew. And what we heard from a lot of them is that, no one ever contacted me. I didn't really know to go for anywhere to go for events. I heard nothing from the club, and we're changing that. And maybe Laura, you can talk about that and when that's going to be launching our new member welcome emails and stuff like that.
Well, that's it's funny, Mitch, because somebody asked, I saw, what is the retention rate of clubs, members in the club? Our average annually last year was 87%, but it normally runs between 83 and 85% is what our renewal rate is. And a lot of those that don't renew, unfortunately, are either aging out of towing and or has sold their Airstream. But as Eric mentioned, we have started a new process with our members at large. And it's a wonderful email that our team, our interior team, as well as Cody, our new international membership standing chair, Sabrina Heiss, and a couple other team members, we put together a new email. So every new member at large right now, it's just there. We're going to go to everybody. We're just working out some bugs. It's just a great welcome to the club. It gives some pointers, like, when you're going to get your packet, how do you hitch up, get to your first event, those type of things are in this email. And actually, you know what we should have done, Eric? Smack both of us. Go to our YouTube page. We have a wonderful new, what we call sizzle video, a new welcome video to the club. If you haven't seen it yet, go see it. It's on our YouTube channel. I think we have it on our Facebook page.
Well, we embedded it in the message that came out for me yesterday. If you check in your email, it's right in that link right there.
So I know everybody got up and read your message yesterday, so I'm sure everybody saw it. But just if you haven't seen the message yesterday,
I'd like to think so.
Of course they did. They did. If you haven't seen that message yesterday, go see it. It's a great video. It just gives me chills. For the video, it's collaboration was fantastic. So I think it's a great snippet of the club.
I want to answer another question, which is dear to my heart, from David Sauger. He asked about the types of rallies. And again, I think what I find interesting now, I'll try to give a long answer. Now that our Airstreams are more capable, well, they have a lot of them have solar now, they have lithium batteries. A lot of our members now are interested in boondocking, semi off the grid, dry camping at national or state parks. And it's funny, it's kind of brings us back to where the club started. Back in the 50s and 60s and 70s, our people often didn't have these 50 amp or 30 amp hookups. They would just pull into a field and just circle the wagons basically and have a nice 3-day or 5-day event. And so what I've been really encouraging local clubs to do is to expand their camping areas, expand their camping opportunities to more dry camping and boondocking. I think they just had one down in New Mexico just last week or two, and people absolutely love those. And what's cool about those is that if you're a local club and you haven't done one before, some of your members may never have dry camp. They may have always been hooked up to water and sewer and electrical. And it's really interesting for those new members to go to a rally where there's other people around them that can, if your battery dies, someone's got a generator, someone's got some extra water along water hose that can help them out. I highly recommend those. When our members look at an ad for an Airstream, it's usually next to a lake or a park or up in the woods someplace. It's not at an RV park. Mind you, I love the RV parks also, some of them, but I really encourage people to look at boondocking or dry camping opportunities. They can be a little more challenging, but in a lot of ways they're much more rewarding. And so some clubs are doing what they call newbie rallies, and we're working with Airstream Inc. to help us structure some of those more around the country. The newbie rallies are oriented for people who've had their trailers for a year or two or less, and they want to just get out there and try some new things. And one of the models that I've seen done out here in California, I think Oregon does it, I think Colorado does it, I know Texas Intact does it as well, is that you may have hookups the first night, but the second night you just take off all your cables and power, and you realize that, hey, most of the stuff in our trailer still works. And then you can plug back in if you have a problem in the middle of the night. But I really encourage the newbie rallies. Again, our members are looking for ways to understand, our newbies, how to understand how to trailer in there, how to live in their Airstreams. Go ahead, Lori.
Well, I was just going to tag on to that. So we just had a new intra-club, which are called Boondockers, that they started just a couple months ago, but we're looking at them to help us share the knowledge of boondocking with the rest of the club. A lot of folks want to do that. You hear the need that they want to go off grid and be able to extend their stay places without the worry of having to hook up. So I'm hoping in the next 6 months or so that we're going to be able to get more items out there and published for people to see and learn about boondocking. I think it's a big deal.
Out here where we live in California, we're fortunate to live in the wine country, and we're trying to organize some just at a vineyard. I mean, how cool would that be to have 10 trailers, parked behind, the vineyards, right? Or in a field there. And I think that once we open up to that, you get a lot more events. I mean, that's frankly what Harvest Host is, and Boondockers Welcome. Those are all dry camping, and we're seeing more and more of our members do that. When Laverne and I travel across country, we often still stay in a Harvest Host just for one night or so also. I see Bonnie down there from Four Corners Unit. I feel like I've emailed or talked to you today, Bonnie, already, but they do a great job in Four Corners Unit of doing dry camping and boondocking. She says they have done 4 already, and all of them have sold out. This is definitely, I would say, one of the most growing opportunities and interest for our members are dry camping ones.
And I love what Bonnie says, survival tactics. I love that, Bonnie. I think that's awesome. Yeah, well, unfortunately, first time I jumped out into the desert out in Nevada years ago, they're like, get out of there. There's rattlesnakes. Get out of there with your flip-flops. So, survival tactic. Little things, right?
Okay, so Lori and I, we always promise we're going to be mindful of your time, and so it's at the hour now. I think what we'll do is that we usually try to stay on for another 15 minutes or so to answer any residual questions, but don't feel bad if you have to jump off now. We really enjoy this time. I hope you see from Lori and me and from Justin and the whole board of trustees that more than I've ever seen before, We are really, really interested in hearing your feedback and your thoughts. You know, we're a growing club and we plan to be around for another 50 years. And we understand that while our members love our history, we're also living in a new world right now. And so we need to make sure that our club accommodates that. And the sizzle video, as we call it, that you hopefully will see, it tries to touch on that. We try to touch on our robust history with Wally Byam and the caravans and the vintage stuff, but also intersperse that with sort of camping in the 2000s and 2030s and stuff. So thank you for your time. Again, we'll hang out here. If we didn't get to your question live, again, we have a record of the questions and we'll be able to reach out to you and answer to them. Lori Grassi asked, how many in the chat? I think we peaked around 100, a little bit lower than normal. I was a little surprised actually. But I know that intact, there's a bunch of people in there theoretically watching in a room together. So they're
Yeah, there's
probably all
21 and 21, I think was the last count I got from intact. So I was going to throw the date out here just in case anybody is interested in the caravan webinar that John Becker and his team will be doing. That's going to be on April 19th at 1 p.m. Eastern right now. That's the only one we're able to get, we've got scheduled. I'm sure we'll do more in the future, but that's the first one in case anybody's interested in that.
Okay. Gary says, please talk about cycling at, I think at International. I think that's what he's asking. I'm not sure.
He knows you love bicycles and you have what, 3 of them or something? Anyway,
I'm not sure that's a member question, Lori, or relevant right now.
Laverne's listening. Well, how many, Laverne?
So one of the things that, the number of our members that have e-bikes is just growing, greatly. And what's interesting about that is that, now that so many of our members have e-bikes, you see people riding their bikes much, much more than we ever used to. I mean, it used to be if you're going to go on a bike ride, it was pull your Lycra on and suit up and, go for a ride. And that was exclusive to a small number of people. So in pretty much every rally we see now, we host something around bicycle riding. And often there's some tough rides, but more often than not, they're just social rides. At International in Wyoming, there will be a bike ride, like at all of our internationals. I'm not sure what the route will be just yet. There's some lovely mountain bike riding out in Wyoming, as you might imagine. And so Laverne and I are both bringing our mountain bikes. I think we're not going to bring our road bikes this time. And so we plan to do some mountain bike riding around the area. It's really fun, actually. So there will be bike riding pretty much at every event. There's got to be some bike riding at a rally. When Laverne and I were visiting with our friends from the Arkansas Razorbacks a couple of months ago down in Alabama, Mississippi and stuff, we did a lot of bike riding with them. And it's just really fun to get out. And that's something that I think that without e-bikes, it wouldn't have been as feasible in the past to get a group of your friends that can all ride together. So definitely. Thanks, Gary.
I see a couple questions coming in, Stephen. Yes, I did say we're going to be in York, Pennsylvania in 2025. Absolutely.
You want to touch on this type of time of the year question? Because so one of the feedback we heard from international rallies was that they're so flipping hot, right? And the weather patterns are different than they used to be now. So the board of trustees, international board of trustees, and region presidents, officers, we made a decision we're going to avoid the hot places in the summer. So we're going to try to camp in the shoulder seasons or try in places that are not as hot. So Lori, maybe you can talk about sort of why we picked the dates for the next rallies.
Yeah, so that's exactly why we look at, of course, availability and the event industry, fairgrounds, they're booking 4 or 5 years out now. It seems like everybody's trying to catch up from those few years of COVID. So that's one of our challenges. But the second is the weather. So with the restrictions lifted, I know it's hard to say we look at the weather patterns because I know they're changing. So but we do. We look at the past weather, right? And so that is why we're trying to move those things around some. So August, as you'll see, so June for 2023, October for 24, and August for 25. And we're doing the best we can to work around those weather issues. So again, hopefully we can do more boondocking and not put such a drain, and then we can get more people into the rally locations. That's super important.
And the boondocking is interesting, is it, you know, if you've been to international rallies before, there's typically very little, if any, boondocking. The first rally I went to, Salem, there's like 2 people, I think. And then in Tennessee, there's, you know, there's very little usually. To have 100 people signed up for boondocking in Wyoming says something that we don't want to ignore. We want to understand why that is, and we want to grow it. And so at future national rallies, as Lori said, you're going to start to see, I call it tiered rallies, where some sites are full hookups or close to it if we can. Some are boondocking. The price will be lower. And we try to put the boondocking sites in areas that are more, they're prettier, basically, give a little more space, right? Because that's often why people want to boondock, because they want to be a little bit further away, have a prettier area. And so we're very, very mindful of the interest in having more boondocking. Plus, frankly, you know, we expect to have close to 2,000 airstreams at some of our upcoming international rallies, and the sites just don't offer that typically. But we need to go to places or during times of the year that aren't, you know, high humidity and 100 degrees at nighttime. So it's an interesting dance to try to find a good international rally location site.
Absolutely.
Here's a question about caravans. Laura, do you want to talk this, Dan?
Dan, I'll touch on that. That's for sure. So, yeah, some of the caravan costs are thousands of dollars, correct? But that covers your camping, that covers any meals, that covers any activities. So I think what a lot of people may not understand is our caravans is not a profit center for the club. It is strictly run by all of volunteers. I mean, HQ does do support. They have a little administrative fee, but it's minor. It's less than $100 actually. And so all of that is done by volunteers. And when a caravan runs their caravan, and let's say you're in Arizona and there's a donkey ride and you don't want to go for that donkey ride, at the end of the rally, you're going to get those fees back. So if there's any money left over from that caravan, the members, the leaders will refund those who participated. And as for the rallies, it just depends on where we are in cost. It's crazy. It is crazy. Even again, I've been 2014, so I'm on my 9th or 10th planning of a rally. But just incremental cost of tables and chairs, pipe and drape, all of that stuff has increased dramatically over the last couple of years. So we do the best we can to run it on a dime. That's for sure. We're very conscious of that. We don't want our people to. Somebody just said, sorry, somebody just said, who knew it'd be 90 degrees in Maine, right? I mean, who would have thought?
Meals. I have asked the questions. Can you talk about meals? This is another thing we're trying different. And just to tee this one up is that.
Yes. So
go ahead.
Typically, Ira, there's one rally meal is what we call, but this year it's going to be done a little bit differently because of if you can imagine, we have over 2,500 people right now that's going to be in Rock Springs, and finding a place for 2,500 people to sit and a caterer that can handle serving 2,500 people just is normally not a good combination. So this year we're trying something different. You'll get more information as we get closer, but the short story is you're going to get basically a coupon. They call it chamber bucks, and then we're going to have a big food court area, multiple food trucks, so that you can go pick what you want, and basically the club will be paying for that. And so that's the only organized big meal for the rally. Again, we'll have food trucks there. Rock Springs is just amazing welcoming for us. So I know they're all working on deals. There's going to be well, I don't know what we're calling it yet, but they're going to have a coupon book for us to get discounts at the local restaurants and things of that nature. So super excited.
And the other thing to add on to that is that, again, we've heard feedback from international rallies that some people say, well, I have some dietary restrictions or desires that don't match, a big food hall. Or I don't even want to eat, I just I eat in my trailer, right? And so the members viewed that embedded meal costs as a cost they had to pay, but they didn't get any benefit from. So what I liked about what Lori proposed is that these chamber bucks, whatever they're called, that they can be used for food or downtown or whatever. It's really interesting. We'll see how this works out. And frankly, the food trucks are just such a big deal right now. And one thing you'll learn if you come to Wyoming, you'll see is that it's the West, it's casual. We wanted people to be outside. And we're going to make sure we have the capacity to feed the people. We've played with food trucks before and we underestimated how many people love them. So we're going to make sure we have enough food trucks available for people to get their meals this time.
Yeah. And then Stephen, I see so about caravans and that there's very little information or no information exactly what's included, cost of the rally. And I think on the caravans, if you go to the caravan page and click on the caravan, caravans themselves have a very detailed description. And then even before you take off on a caravan, the caravan leaders will communicate with you. As for the rally, that is an education point we're trying to work on. Again, I get it. Like some of us, oh, we've been there, we know what to do. But we're trying to get better at that communication of what the fees cover and remind people, like bring extra hoses, because if you go look at Google Earth and look at a rally site, what you see there and how we park may not be the same thing. So we always encourage the extra hoses. And I know it's not extension cords, power cords. Sorry. Again, it's getting late.
Well, I think we're winding down. I think we answered the question, Diane, you had about food choices, who are vegan or vegetarian or whatever. And that's the idea of having a wide selection of food trucks. But frankly, if you can't find it at the food truck, you can take that check and go downtown and grab something down there. So yeah. All right. I think we're wrapping up, Lori. What do you think? Anything you want to add before we close out?
Well, I just want to thank everybody for hanging out with us tonight. Hope we answered some questions. If we haven't, please contact our office. We will definitely be there to help you. Anybody there at the office is there to help all of our members. That's our goal.
Thank you, Lori. Thank you, everyone, for joining, and we'll talk to you in 3 months or so. All right.
All right. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.